You have to see failures as the beginning, but never entertain it as an end. So same should be the attitude of an entrepreneur. Today we will talk about entrepreneurship. Good morning, IIBM. My name is Balkrishna and we are back again with yet another interesting session. I welcome you all to IIBM's induction program of 21st batch Ignite 2020. Before we begin, let me take you through the itinerary of the session. The session is of 45 minutes of knowledge sharing, followed by 15 minutes of question and answers. So do post your interesting, igniting, and awakening questions. It gives me an honor and joy to introduce you to our today's speaker and one more stalwart from alumni family of IIBM, Mr. Rahul Chandel from the class of 2007 and 9. Rahul sir is an experienced sales and marketing professional turned entrepreneur with a demonstrated history of working in the content industry. Sir is skilled in digital strategies, sales, mobile applications, direct marketing, business development, and e-publishing. Prior to starting his own enterprise, he was working with Microsoft Incorporation as marketing manager. Currently, Sir is the designated partner at Digitrans Media Services Global LLP, a company specialized in helping publishers to transform their printed content to digital, interactive content that's adaptable to every delivery channel. Company also makes the content compatible with all the mobile devices like smartphones, e-readers, and tablets. Academically, Sir is an MBA in marketing, and prior to that, Sir has done BTech in IT. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome young and dynamic Mr. Rahul Chandel.
Thank you so much, Balkrishna, and I hope you can hear me loud and clear.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Jay sir, and the entire team of IIBM. I thank you, all of you, for giving me this opportunity. And first of all, a very, very warm welcome to all the freshers, to all the newcomers to the new batch of 2020 at IIEBM. I think this is an amazing journey that you are going to start with this very prestigious, esteemed institution based out of Pune, the Oxford of East, as you call it. So I think I'm very glad to be a part of this session. And as you can see, these are very strange times. I am in the comfort of my home, being at home, interacting with all of you. And what a pleasure it is. Thank you so much for having me. And I feel a bit humble talking about entrepreneurship because it's just a beginning for me as well. It's just been a bit over 4 years since I started my entrepreneurial
Sir,
journey.
before you start your
Yeah.
session, I have a question. So, shall I start with a question and
Of course,
then you?
please, please, please.
Okay, so sir, you were doing so well in your career. You have worked with MNCs. There were large conglomerates you were working with. How come this entrepreneurship happened to you?
Well, that's a good question. Um, as it's the story with most of the entrepreneurs. I mean, I always wanted to do something of my own, and because of various reasons, I think I've seen the growth of entrepreneurs closely. Of being surrounded by entrepreneurs, not by chance, but by choice. I have always tried to be in the company of people who I want to be like, right? So, entrepreneurs have always influenced me. I've spent a lot of time studying entrepreneurs. What do they really do? How do they think? And I always had it in me. I felt that I want to do something of my own, at least try, and so that I do not regret later in life that I did not even try. So I think that's what was one point, and I've of course seen the exponential growth that entrepreneurs get. I mean, you get one life, and either you be a slave to the job system that we have prevailing across the world, not just in India, or build something of your own, creating something, right? Just like you create a life, you create a baby, or you create uh, a platform or a business. that was not existing, right? Name that you give to that business, just like you give a name to the child, belongs to you and nobody else. And then you nurture it, just like you nurture a baby, and then it grows. So that's the beauty of entrepreneurship. It's a beautiful, magical journey. You get to learn so much, and we can talk a bit while we go forward. But yes, of course, major difference is I mean, the kick that you get out of entrepreneurship that you don't get out of the job. I mean, you're working for your own self. You take your own decisions. So there's so much of autonomy, and you can take amazing decisions, and you can play the game the way you want. And you don't have to be a sycophant, or you don't have to, you know, impress anybody for that matter. So it's nice. It's a happy place to be in.
So one more thing, sir. When I was doing research for your profile for making the script for your profile, I've seen there are a lot of interesting activities your company is doing. So tell us something more about Digitrans Media.
So I'll tell you how the inception of Digitrans Media happened. So basically, I was working in this field since 2009 when I joined the first company, and in fact, the second company also was into the same business. It's just that first I was with a company. I started with a company which is the biggest player in the world. It's a US-based company, and they deal in content transformation. And then I moved on to a smaller company. So it's also very important part of our discussion that when you are exposed to a big company, you learn about one particular division or maybe a few divisions, but you do not get exposed to the entire machinery, the entire functionality of a company, be it compliance, be it anything for that matter. But when you go into the smaller company where you are given far more responsibilities and you go deep into the functioning of the company, then you have a clear picture of how the entire system works, right from a customer showing an interest, and then how the company fulfills that interest, and then how it does the after sales, and then how the finance comes into the role, the compliance comes into the role, everything. So you're exposed to everything. So the best part is that you get exposed to a bigger company which is very ethical, very compliant driven. So you use all those good points from that company, and then you have your own understanding of how the entire small company works. You apply that those best practices of that MNC into that small company. So it paints the entire picture in front of you. So the narrative is very clear about what you're about to do. So you need to be a small part of a big machinery. At the same time, you have to understand the entire big machinery also. So sorry, I deviated from your question. The question was.
It was about your company. We wanted to know more about
Yes,
your company.
yes. So that's how we began with Digitrans Media. So I got a flavor with a big company and a small company, and then I decided let's do my own thing. And because of my relationships with my customers, uh, existing customers, and I knew how to dig out new customers also. So I had a mileage from my previous company's customers, and then I was building upon a new pipeline of new customers as well. So I put together a business plan. The first thing I did was I found a person who could support me initially in all the digital aspects, the IT aspects, because I am not a technical person. And minded all of you that you're listening to me today, being technical is an advantage, but definitely if you're not a technical person, it does not stop you from doing anything. Technology is an enabler. It only enables your idea, gives it a platform. But if you have a solid idea, and if you can safeguard your idea in today's world where everybody is trying to copy everybody's idea, I mean, nobody can stop you. Nobody can stop you. There are solution providers. There are such cloud infrastructures available. Amazing companies are there who will help you in the tech side of it. So don't be worried. So now what Digitrans Media does is we work with publishers worldwide. So it is a 100% service export company where we work with multinational and small publishers worldwide, and we help them delivering their physical content digitally through platforms like Apple, Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Kobo, Smashwords. So that is the ebook side of the business. And then we also work with a lot of STM publishers. I mean, 80% of our business comes from the scientific, technical, medical publications, and that too mainly from the medical publications where we work with a lot of research journals. We do a lot of designing and content layout for research journals, and we do a lot of XML tagging for research. So basically, there is a repository of content in the US which is called PubMed Central. So we convert all the content into XML, place it there in that repository. So based on that metadata tagging, whosoever who is basically the journal could be based in published by somebody from China or from somebody Taiwan, a research or doctor, but somebody looking for something on oncology or something in France can actually simply go on that database and look for that research paper and find it. So it's exciting for me. What really excites me is that I get to interact with customers from around the world, and it really gives me a kick managing all these people and my team. I literally don't manage them. It's like being we're all this equal, and they also literally own the company, and kind of a sweat equity, you can say. They own the company, and most of them are on profit sharing. So if we make more money, we do more business. Everybody gets a nice pie of the profits that we make. So this is all in all. That's what we do. We have customers in South America, North America. We have customers in UK, Greece, Italy, Germany. So Europe, UK, and the Americas. That's the main markets that we're dealing with. We're almost 50 people now. Uh, we
Okay.
just started with 3 people, 3 laptops, and that was my initial investment. 3 laptops that I purchased, Dell laptops. Michael Dell, thank you. So that's how we started, and we're doing pretty decent right now. That's the journey. In fact, Disney South America is we do a lot of work for them through Grupo Planeta, which is world's largest Spanish book publisher. So we've done more than 200 ebooks for Disney with Grupo Planeta alone. For I think for them we've done more than 4,000 ebooks so far. And I have a quick video that we could play about Krishna, and we can quickly give them a taste of what Digitrans Media looks like, what kind of content we'll be dealing in.
Request you to mute your microphone, and I'll play the video.
I messed up tonight. I lost another fight. I still myself, but I just start again. I keep falling down. I keep on hitting the ground. But I always get up now to see what's next. Birds don't just fly, they fall down and get up. Nobody learns without getting it wrong. I won't give up, no, I won't give in till I reach the end, and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave. I wanna try everything. I wanna try even though I could fail. I won't give up, no, I won't give in till I reach the end, and then I'll start again. No, I won't leave. I wanna try everything. I wanna try even though I
Amazing work, sir. So, I can't hear you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, sir, you can start with your presentation, and in the end, I'll come back with a lot of questions.
Sure. I don't really have a so-called presentation, but it's simply a few points that I felt are very common to any entrepreneur. So I think we could just get on those points and we can take it forward.
Shall I start the presentation?
Yes. So I just don't want to put up a very boring presentation. This is not a presentation. We will quickly talk about a few important points that everybody should think about, and I feel that these are common points across very big entrepreneurs and small entrepreneurs, like a Kirana store who's running his business successfully. So this is an account of my first-hand experience of entrepreneurship. So this first slide, it's not really just put these spaces for the sake of it. I have an activity, a quiz for all of you. So who all are watching this today, if you are able to guess the names of all these 8 entrepreneurs, you get this exciting book. Yes, so it's the bestseller, The Lean Startup by Eric Ries. So it's one of the best-selling books about entrepreneurship, and whosoever gives me the correct names of these 8 entrepreneurs wins this book today. So it's your chance. Thank you. So we move on to the slide. Well, you will call it a boring slide, but I just thought of putting a definition together. We read so many definitions in books, but I felt that I should also write a line about what I feel is entrepreneurship. So anyone who builds a functional business to make profits can be called an entrepreneur. So anything that you can think of involves some kind of sale, some kind of purchase, and at the end of the day, you're making some profit out of it. Well, welcome to the entrepreneur club. So right from Mumbai's Dabbawalas to Elon Musk, everyone is an entrepreneur who identifies a need and tries to fulfill it with the help of a product or a service. So that can be that definitely 100% qualifies as an entrepreneur. So nothing can stop you. Nobody in this world can stop you. No non-disclosure agreements, no contracts. Nothing can stop you. Nothing, absolutely nothing can stop you from being an entrepreneur. If you're working in a job and if your company says that no, you're not supposed to do business, okay, fine. I don't do business on my name. I'll do it on my wife's name, my brother's name, my sister's name, my parents' name. Nobody can stop me from doing a business, or nobody can stop me being an entrepreneur. So you need to have that fire, and anybody can be an entrepreneur. So a very exciting fact that I came across. So according to the Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, over 1 million businesses are launched every year. That is 3 new businesses per second. So you can imagine how many businesses are being formed, created every second. So and they are variety of businesses you can't even think of, right from being a part of a pre-existing supply chain to creating something that never existed. Uh, that's the amount of businesses that are created every second of the day that while we speak. Uh, so the traits of an entrepreneur. This is something that I really want to touch upon through this presentation. So the first and the most important point is an unwavering passion. This is something people talk about all the time. How do I find my passion? How do I identify my passion? So it's, I would say, what I feel from my own experiences, it's just like if you watched Harry Potter, uh, it's not you who selects the wand. The wand selects you. The wand chooses you. You don't choose your wand. So it's your passion that drives you crazy. Balkrishnan, who's the moderator, is a very fine photographer, and he's going great guns. He's doing very well for his in his professional life. It's not because he's running after some kind of commercial success or fame for that matter, but he's passionate about photography. He's passionate about making films. He's passionate about post production. I mean, he can, if I'm not wrong, the people who are passionate, they forget their meals. They forget it's night and it's going to be morning. So that's the passion that drives you. If Sachin Tendulkar is Sachin Tendulkar, it's not because he knew what's lying in the future, the kind of fame that he'll get. No, he was passionate about playing cricket, and that's what made him Sachin Tendulkar. Similarly, Thomas Alva Edison. I mean, for the first two jobs, he was kicked out of the job because he was unproductive. I mean, it's on the records, you can check. And then he went on and did so many inventions because he was passionate about it. So you can find your mojo. You can identify your passion, something you like, you're happy about, and the chances of success are very high when you're following your passion. Success chances are less when you are not, following something that you're chasing something you're not passionate about. So that is something alarming. You should not be missing a lot of time that does not excite you. I mean, chances of success are less. If you ask me what excites me, what was my passion? I was excited about you know learning about new cultures, about new people. I have traveled across India, so India was done for me. But I loved history, I loved geography, and I wanted to go around the world, just like anybody else. But I think it was a bit extra for me, and I always wanted to be into a job or into a business where I could go places, I could meet people around the world, and my customers know exactly that I'm speaking the truth because the kind of love and attachment I have with my customers. So these are the benefits of being also an entrepreneur. That you can travel, you can decide your own schedule, you can have any kind of relationship with your customers. I mean, very pally, very casual relationships are very helpful at times. Of course, when you're doing business, when you're working, it's very serious stuff. Quality is a hygiene. You cannot compromise on all those aspects of the business. But at the same time, while you are talking to your customers, you build a strong bond, and that is also very good foundation for your business. Also, that you're sure that if you do not goof up, your customers are not going anywhere. So I go to my customers and I meet them across the world, and they come to India. I host them very nicely. I show them places. It's beautiful. So that was my passion, and I wanted to do something into international business. And then books were a bit. The content was a bit exciting space. So it was an amalgamation of all these things. So strangely, I don't have any customer in India. So I have all my customers outside India, so I get to travel a bit. So that was my passion, and I chased it, and I'm doing fine. You're doing pretty okay as of now, by God's grace. So that's passion. You have to identify something that you like spending time in, that you get totally engrossed in. That's passion. Open-mindedness. This. So I'm not putting any pictures on these slides. It has to be an open slide. We're talking about open-mindedness. This is one of the most important points after passion. Open-mindedness means the flexibility of not having any preoccupied notion in your minds, unlearning what you've already learned throughout your schooling, your education, your upbringing. At times, we are told that you need to have a job, you need to secure your job, your career. I mean, this is something that you need to unlearn. And open-minded, you need to be open-minded. You need to meet so many different people. You get to learn so many different things about doing business, about entrepreneurship. You collaborate, you see so many existing platforms, and you leverage those platforms, those networks. So that is being open-minded. You cannot hardline something. It has to be very flexible. For instance, if you will interact with a chartered accountant. He will tell you so many things, new things about taxation, and you'll be open-minded about it. How you can actually have, how you book your expenses, how you. I mean, that's the basic difference between being an the benefits of being an entrepreneur. I didn't want to touch it on this slide, but then because we're talking about it, while you are doing a job, okay, your employer deducts your tax and then pays you salary. You have no control on the tax that you pay. Whereas when you are into a business, you get paid and then you do all the expenses, you book all the expenses under the sun in that business that are justifiable. And then what is left is your profit and you pay taxes on that. So uh, being open-minded is about learning all the new things. Every day, new things are happening in this world. So you need to be very open-minded and embracing about all the new technologies, the new ways of doing business, with social media happening all around. You just can't be the old school person that you were. So you need to be open-minded. So for instance, in my business, if a publisher is still going print only and is not embracing digital, he will be surely left behind in the race. It's all about being open-minded, right? So it's very exciting. Unlearn what you've learned and move on. We move on to the next slide now. Traits of an entrepreneur. So this gentleman on the right, uh, his name is Reid Hoffman, and he's the founder of LinkedIn. And this person is really amazing if you get to read about him. He's published a few books also. Comes up with a term called blitz scaling. And so uh, why I put his picture here is that he said a beautiful thing that sticks around with me all the time. He says that you're the average of 5 people that you spend most time with. So basically, you become the company that you keep. I'll again repeat what he says, that you are the average of 5 people that you spend most time with. If you understand this point, this will take you places. No matter if you were born in a poor family, no matter you did not get good education, no matter you have poor health, no matter any kind of no matter you're old, uh, nobody's old, it's all in the mind. But if you think that you're 45 or 50, you can't do, all these are simply excuses. What counts the most is that what kind of people you surround yourself with. So if you want to be successful, you should surround, or you have to surround yourself with successful people. If you want to be happy, you have to have a network of happy people around you. If you want to be healthy, you have to have healthy people around you. If you are in a company where people are, into drugs or into unhealthy activities, definitely you are going to inculcate those habits which are very unhealthy, and eventually you will become unhealthy. But if you're surrounded with people who are into running, jogging, yoga, Pilates, what all fancy things you have in health, eventually you will start gaining health, right? I'll give you an example. I was an athlete at the school level. I used to run, and we had a coach, and there was this 6 kilometer marathon, and I must have been in ninth or tenth standard. So what he told me was that, Rahul, if you want to cross the runner who's running in front of you, you have to match his steps. And what would happen is that you are going to leave him behind, and you won't even get to know him. And I actually did it in the final race, and I came fourth. It was really magical how it works. You have to follow the steps of the people who you really want to be like. And so, similarly, if you want to be confident, you have to surround yourself with confident people. If you want to be an entrepreneur, so you know who you want to surround yourself with, right? So, it's very important in life what kind of company you keep. Do not keep company for the sake of a formality. Even if they are your relatives, if they are negative people, just try to distance yourself from them because you have very limited time at hand and you have to focus, right? So it's very important keeping the right company. Perseverance. I hope you all are listening and you all are liking and you all are getting feeling that connect with me because these points remain the same. These are all the points that I felt are very important and are the right ingredients to be a successful entrepreneur. And success is not comparative. You cannot compare it with somebody else's success. Some success is something very private and personal. You you set your own benchmarks and you then compare with your own self. Where have you reached? So perseverance, the long way to victory. Perseverance is all about never giving up. Never say never. That kind of attitude that you need to have. That you have that perseverance in you. That nothing will pull you down, and then nothing can stop you. I mean, pick up any example. There is no way that you would uh, be successful overnight and you will never have failures. It's impossible. But then you get up, you pull yourself up because you know that you're different from the others and nothing can stop you. I mean, why I have put these pictures here on this slide. So this is a story very close to my heart and I've written about this story quite a few times on social media, and I tell people wherever I go. This athlete, this Olympian, is Dan Jansen. He's an American speed skater, and he's one of my favorites. So Olympians, I feel, are the highest quality of genes in this world, and who identify their own potential, and they work day in and day out, not just physically but also mentally. So Dan Jensen, I'll tell you a quick story about what this person did in his life and what he achieved. So basically, as you know, Olympians practice day in and day out in harsh conditions to achieve the unachievable. Only one person in the entire world gets the Olympic gold medal. That person is the best in the world. Dan Jensen had his first stint with Olympics in 1988 in Yugoslavia, and he stood an impressive fourth. And then in 1992, he again appeared for the Olympics, and he had two races, 500 meters and 1,000 meters. So just before his race, his sister was suffering from cancer, and just before his race, his sister died, and he promised to himself that he is going to win this race for his sister. But unfortunately, he fell in both the races and he was disqualified. And then in 1992, in 1990, the third Olympics that he appeared for was in Calgary, in Canada, 92. And he again fell in both the races. And then the final one in Norway, where he appeared for the Olympics, it was his last race of his career. So it was 1994. So the first one was 1984. The last one was 1994. After 10 years, it was his last race. His entire career was closing in front of his eyes. And his last race. And the 500-meter, when he appeared for the race, he fell. He fell down. And then after 4 days, he had the last race of his life, which was the 1,000 meters. And he promised to himself to win it. And believe me, you can see it all on the internet. He everything fall in place, and he won the final last race of his life. He got the gold medal of the Olympics. I mean, this is phenomenal story, and there are so many other Olympian stories that you must look. And I would quickly want to show you a 2-minute video of Dan Jansen in a nutshell of what he achieved. So Balkrishna, if you could just quickly put that video on and so that everybody can watch.
I remember I actually told Jane that I was going to win for her 3 hours after learning his sister Jane had died, Dan Jansen line up for the start of the second heat. At the end of 600 meters with one more lap to go, Jansen has the fastest time of all the skaters. Later in Albertville as one of the favorites in both the 500 and 1000, he fails again, finishing 4th in the 500 and a disastrous 26th in the 1000. Jansen's left skate slips. Hundredths of a second have been lost on this turn. Before the afternoon is over, 7 racers skate faster.
It was good to have Jane there because she brought us all back to reality, and whenever we started feeling real sorry for ourselves, she would do something to make us all think, well, this is what it's all about.
Something was off. My skates, they weren't gripping the ice. I didn't feel solid, and my legs didn't feel normal. So I'm just thinking, all right, in a minute and a half, you're done, and your Olympics will be over. And I was sort of prepared that it just wasn't going to happen.
The race gets underway. Jansen gets away quickly. At 200 meters, Jansen is second fastest of all the previous skaters. At 600 meters, Jansen is now faster than all the previous skaters. A slight slip on the next to last turn. Robin Jansen fears this will again cost him the race. There are 200 meters to go. Dan Jansen creates a world record, 11 hundredths of a second faster than Kevin Scott of Canada's former mark.
Think of anything I could do to say something to Jane, and then right as it ended, I just thought, just give a little salute. So I looked up and saluted her. I remember I actually told Jane that I was going to win for her.
So I hope that you've liked the video and you all were inspired by Dan Jansen. So, Balkrishnan, going back to this slide. So there you can see Dan Jansen holding his daughter, and he took the last round of the ring holding his daughter in his arms, who was named after his sister who passed away. Very inspirational story. So, creating ideas that solve problems. I'll quickly take you through this. So, entrepreneurs basically identify problems, real world problems, and try to find solutions to those problems. Again, technology is an enabler that creates wonderful platforms for these solutions. Any startup, right from the time of Thomas Alva Edison, who created a bulb. Again, if you see all the points that we've discussed, the perseverance and the ideas that this man was comprised of, he created the first bulb after 1,000 failures. And then he was able to create the bulb, and eventually went ahead to create one of the world's biggest corporations, which today is known as General Electric, GE, right? He was the co-founder of GE. So they create ideas around the problems that they see, so be it Uber, or be it Ola, or be it Amazon, or be Netflix, or be it Airbnb, all the big unicorns of the world, if you see today, what have they done? They've actually solved real world problems. So you need to think openly, and it very rarely happens that you create something that was not existing. So, like for in my case also, I am working on something that was the service, the business was already existing, and I created a new business with new tactics, new strategies around my own business, and so you need to think out of the box, as we say. Think of the ideas. It could be anything. I mean, if in your area you think, um, you know. You could create something. If somebody is interested in farming, again linking all those points like passion, starting from passion. If somebody is interested in farming, organic farming, and he thinks or she thinks that I could create something of my own and provide and do some nice packaging, branding for my own self, and then reach out with that, and then establish a distribution network. So all those P's of marketing, product price, place, promotion that you're going to learn throughout this course. So all these things come together. It's a beautiful amalgamation of everything putting together. So then you achieve what you plan to. So an entrepreneur creates ideas that solve problems. And finally, an entrepreneur is a go-getter. I cannot be dependent on anybody. I just cannot depend upon a third party to get me something, and then I'm waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting. Entrepreneurs do not wait. They could take action, and they take immediate action. So if you have an idea and you're sitting on top of that, it will never succeed. So you need to take steps in order to make it a reality. So an entrepreneur is a go-getter. So if you think that I'm not good with developing a website, so you are not supposed to develop a website. You have website developers, and they will develop a website for you. And if you think if you're not good with taxation, I did not know anything about taxation. Then you have people like smart people like chartered accountants take care of your taxations and make sure that legitimately you pay minimum taxes, unlike your job salaried counterparts. So you have to be a go-getter. You cannot sit. So you have to find solutions to your own problems as well. Just like in the bigger picture, you are creating a startup to solve problems for a in a bigger picture. So you need to be go-getter. So I feel these all ingredients, when put together, creates an entrepreneur. And it's the same whether you're Mark Zuckerberg or you are Balkrishan Samnotra. I feel this is the right mix of entrepreneurs, and there are no shortcuts. Trust me, you have to think big, but you have to start small. Rome wasn't built overnight, right? So you have to start small, but at the same time, you have to think big. These, I feel, are the right traits of an entrepreneur. And with this, I will bring my presentation and my talk to rest. And it's right at time. We're at 12:14. It's almost there. But yes, you can catch me on LinkedIn, and that's my email right there. And that's one picture from 2014 while I was in New York for one of a very amazing uh, conferences called the Book Expo America. Yes. So, any more questions? I think we'll have an open house. I think Alkrish might have some questions. The students might have some questions for me, and I'm looking forward to them. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. So there are a couple of questions, and there are a lot of other questions which we are expecting. So the first question is, so you have seen the transition from job to entrepreneurship. What is the major difference? How life changes once you started your own enterprise?
That's a good question. Um, you take a, usually, what in my case, like I took a whiteboard and I wrote down all the possibilities and then I shortlisted the ones that I felt were most feasible and the opportunities which were the most low hanging. I think is that what your question is?
I'm asking about the difference between job and
Oh,
entrepreneurship.
okay. The difference between the job and entrepreneurship is you they both are inevitable. If you are having a family business, makes sense. You take the legacy forward. It's okay, but then you need to get into a job to understand how a company functions, understand the best practices, learn new things, and unlearn which is obsolete and still lying in your brain. So you learn all the good things from a job, and then you try to establish something of your own, make a recipe of your own with your own ingredients as well. So both are inevitable, but the major difference are at a very tactical level. I would say, like for example, taxation. One big problem. I mean, it's about because this person, if you read, I mean, I recommend this book or this author to everybody. His name is Robert Kiyosaki. I'm sure everybody's heard about him, right? I mean, for beginners, even for people who are uh, you know on very senior level management roles, they can also pick up this small tiny book. It's called Rich Dad Poor Dad. I mean, I'm sure that most of you have read it. I mean, it's so simple that while you're into a job, as I said, your employer deducts your tax, then you get your salary, and when you're into business, I mean, you put all sorts of expenses and you play around with your taxation, and then you invest in other things like real estate and everything, and then there are other tax savings and all kind of things that you can do. You cannot do all those things in a job. Secondly, growth is exponential that you cannot have in a job. So, for instance, what does an employer do? He is an intermediate. Eventually, I am the one who is giving the service to the customer. For example, I'm a project manager for a customer, right? I am the one who is managing the team, doing everything. What is my employer doing? Keeping 95% of the revenue, showering 5% of your droplets on me. I don't want that. I keep the 95% chunk for myself, right? While I'm an entrepreneur, right? If the revenue is 100 rupees, I get 5 rupees doing a job. Whereas if I am an entrepreneur, the employer instead of an employee, I keep the 95. I get to keep the 95 and I give 5 rupees to my employee. But then being empathetic at the same time is very important, right? So, for example, the people who started with me, the 3 people who started with me 4 or 5 years back, are still with me, and I take very good care of them. In turn, they take very good care of me. So these are the things that you get to learn over the period of time. So these are major differences. I mean, the growth is exponential when you're working for yourself, and then in job you have to be, impressing people, and uh, whereas in your own when you're your own boss, you don't have to impress anybody except your customers. Customers always God, right? In any form of business, customer is God. Customer is always right. Okay, so these are the major differences. I mean, the biggest differences that you find while working for your own self or working for somebody else.
Right, sir. Very well said. You also said in one of the slide that our surroundings, our network make us. It also defines what is our attitude. It also defines what is our growth, what is our success. Any advice to keep the right kind of network and right kind of people around us?
Well, the advice was the same. You become the company that you keep. If you want to be rich, surround yourself with rich people. I mean, it's a thumb rule. You will never find rich people in company of poor people. Rich people always make friends with rich people, right? And I've had a chance to interact with quite a few rich people. Yes, so if you you want to be rich, surround yourself with rich people. If you want to be entrepreneurs, join startup groups, forums, and then you'll be a part of the pack, the prestigious pack of entrepreneurs. And then you start thinking like that. So the conditioning of the brain happens like that. You keep thinking all the time of that particular thing. You start behaving like that. Then all those traits start coming into you. So yes, it's very natural.
Right, right. So you said, have friends in startup groups and gel with them. So my next question is related to that. What would you suggest when someone starts their career? A well-known brand or a startup?
Well, looking at times like these, anything that you get right now is good. So don't wait for anything. Join whichever company that you get. As I told you, it's very important, very important to be a part of. If you're looking at entrepreneurship as your final goal, be a part of a big company. Also be a part of a small company, but do not deviate. Do not deviate a lot. So if you're focusing, because you have very limited time at hand, that's what I feel. I might be wrong. You could be into aviation sector, but then you might go into renewable energies. So, but then you're not becoming an expert. You might be an expert on in sales. You might be an expert in finance. You might be an expert in HR. But how much do you know about the vertical, the business vertical that you are in? That plays an important role. So it is very important to know a lot about all these upcoming areas where to figure out yourself and then spending a lot of time there. Like for example, e-commerce is the next big thing. It's already a very big thing. It is going to keep growing for a decade or so, and even more. So if you want to be a part of it, I'm sure you will be into similar companies. You'll spend a lot of time in similar companies. Be a part of a very big company like Flipkart or Myntra, all those kind of companies. Then at the same time join the startup as well. So you get a flavor of both the scenarios. That creates an optimum situation for you to start your own company. That's what my advice is. Because you understand the loopholes, the small little nitty-gritties of doing business. And then you know how the big companies also work. So you know the small thing also, right? You know the big thing also. In the middle, you are the one who's connecting the base, top of the pyramid and the base of the pyramid. So it creates a beautiful business scenario.
Right, sir. So one more thing which is very important, when we are running our enterprise, it is about having the right set of people in as an employee or as a resource. How do you avoid hiring wrong people?
Right. So it's in a nutshell. I have a very simple answer to that. You always hire people who are smarter than you. Not necessarily in every field, but the field specific to them. They need to be experts in that field. For example, I don't need a CEO right now.
Mhm.
Let me be the CEO. So because also I am a startup, right? So I am managing things by my own self. I don't need somebody who's smarter than me in running my business, and then he overthrows me, right? I don't want that situation right now. So but I definitely want technical people who are very sound in their fields. So how I ran my business was that I had the first pillar of my business was this person who leads my entire digital production. And then in turn, from his reference, I got the other person. So referrals also, and the kind of work that they've done in the past, it's always better to hire experts, even if you're paying extra. If you're not delivering, I mean, there are so many companies out there to provide the service or the product that you're providing. So what's the difference? You need to have some experts, some people who have an edge over others. So then you don't go wrong. I mean, that's the most important thing.
Right,
Hiring
sir.
experts.
So next question is about the very common trait when we start the enterprise. It is the uncertainty. How to be how to be comfortable with uncertainty. Because that is the one reason which stops people to start their enterprises.
See, there is no uncertainty is always there. I mean, I am running this business right now. I asked this question to my uncle also once, who's an entrepreneur. I asked him that I am getting into a very big investment, and should I do this because I'm uncertain about the future of my business. For instance, there are so many factors that influence business that we read in books also, and one of them are like the international reasons. So, for example, one of my customers in Mexico, the leader of the Republic of Mexico got changed, and they brought in new laws that had very big, very high duties on imports, including service imports. The very next day, I get an email: we cannot do business with your company anymore. Do business with a company which is local to Latin America, and one of my entire section of division of business was gone. So I've seen scenarios like that. But then the advice that I got from my uncle was that there is uncertainty about death also, life and death also, human beings also. We live in an uncertain time. So there is no answer to that. You have to be courageous. You have to have that perseverance. All those points, your passion, that defines, that reduces or nullifies your uncertainty. Right? You are a go-getter. Nobody can stop you here. Nobody can. Nobody can. Perseverance. Nobody can. So all these points, when you go back, they all are interrelated, and there is no way that uncertainty would creep in. As I said, think big, start small. When you're starting small, you're investing small. Uncertainty would not bother you much. And that's how it is. That's my take on uncertainty.
Great, sir. So actually, you have answered the last question also in this question. So I think we are through with the session. Thank you so much, Rahul sir, for this power pack session. If you have any, anything, if you want to advise something to the students, please go ahead, and then I'll.
Absolutely. Please look out for Balkrishna Samnotra. He often visits the institute. Himself is a great entrepreneur. He would have a lot of things to tell you about photography, videography, and all these things. Video marketing is the new buzzword and the most catching thing. With data rates going, so low, everybody's on videos. That's the new thing. Plus, it's a great institution. It's run by ex-army officials, ex-servicemen who prioritize discipline. And if you're disciplined, a lot of things you would do great in a job as well. You would do great in as an entrepreneur, as an individual in your life as well. So I think Mr. Jaisingh Marwa, who is currently the managing director, who was also our chief mentor when while I was studying. He was my mentor, and he remained my mentor for the rest of my life. He has a very special place in my heart. He will make sure that when you go out, you pass out of the institute after 2 years, you will be entirely changed, and you will be extremely successful, ladies and gentlemen, in your own respective fields. So I think you should be very excited about joining this institution, and you've taken the right step, and the very first step and the right step of building a great career ahead. So I wish you all the best. My blessings, my prayers, and my best wishes are there with all of you watching me today. And thank you so much for having me on this session. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. So on behalf of IIBM family, I wish you a great success in your career. We have learned power of conviction, power of passion, power of perseverance, and we wish you more and more power in your career, in your personal life, With the hope of meeting you again, long live IIBM and Jai Hind.
No. Jai Hind is okay. Don't forget
Okay,
this,
so-
man. Don't forget this. Let's go to the first slide.
Yes, so give me a moment. I'll just start the slide again.
The lean startup, Eric Ries. So we have quite a few books by Eric Ries. This is one. Well, you can also read the book, The Magic of Thinking Big. It's absolutely amazing. The 4-hour work week is amazing. You can read that book. So there are quite a few books. I can share a list of books with Balkrishnan that have helped me. Amazing. So whosoever names all these 8 people, just give me the names of these 8 people, and I will ship this book to your address. So you can send the names, the list of names to Balkrishnan, and whosoever is the first person who gives all the names correctly gets this book. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, and have a great day ahead.
You
Thanks a
too.
lot.
Bye.